I'd like to call this meeting of the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. A quorum of board members is present. This meeting has been duly called and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. If you'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Start with the American flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, quick note, Ty Taggart, board member, will be absent this evening. And we will start by the board will start by going into closed session. So at 5:01, the board will now convene in closed session. We'll be back shortly. All right, it is now 5:55, and the board will reconvene in open session. And judging by the size of the crowd, we have recognition.
It is
Great.
that time. Have a great crowd tonight. First up, Delilah Miranda, a sophomore at Belton New Tech High School at Wasco, has been selected to be a delegate to the Congress of Future Medical Leaders, hosted by the National Academy of Future Physicians and Medical Scientists in Lowell, Massachusetts on June 25th through 27th. Come on up, Delilah. Yeah, the Congress is an honors-only program for high school students who want to become physicians or go into medical research fields. Congratulations, Delilah.
Congratulations, we're very proud of you.
Next, we have our ESE Region 12 Elementary Counselor of the Year. Miss Munira Tarver from Miller Heights Elementary was named Region 12 Elementary Counselor of the Year. Ms. Tarver has been counselor for 4 years and hopes to implement a comprehensive developmental counseling program on her campus. She was joined last week in Waco by her principal, Mrs. Jennifer Connor, and today we have here to support her, her family, and Mrs. Kim Christie Anderson.
Great, thank you so much for everything you do.
Next, we have Texas State Historical Association Commendations. Teachers Elizabeth Howson of North Belton Middle School and Mr. Timothy Potts, who can't be here tonight, were both recognized as the Texas State Historical Association for their outstanding achievement in the Texas Day History program this year. In recognizing Ms. Howson as a top history teacher in the state of Texas, TSHA highlighted her significant commitment to providing the students the opportunity to excel in the study of history. Her family is here with her tonight, and so is Mr. Joe Brown from North Belton Middle School. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I forgot to mention earlier, anyone wanting to take pictures, by all means, step on up, take as many pictures as you want to. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, sure. Next up, we have another outstanding educator from Belton ISD who has achieved an environmental science NASA externship. Mrs. Jessica Settle from Belton New Tech High School at Wasco has been selected for the Tex2 teacher externship with the NASA Texas Space Grant Consortium. This statewide competitive program will be held at the University of Texas at Austin this summer, with follow-up taking place during the first semester of the 2018-2019 school year. Congratulations.
Wow, that sounds like a big deal. Sounds fun, too. Look forward to hearing about the follow-up on that one. Thank you.
Yep. And last but not least, our Big Red community partner this month is the Belton Economic Development Corporation. Belton ISD's vision is to be a leader in preparing every student to excel in tomorrow's world. That includes equipping students with the tools that they need for the jobs of the future, some of which don't even exist today. The Belton EDC is a significant partner in those efforts. For their commitment to Belton ISD's vision, BEDC is the Big Red community partner. For June, Board President Joe Shepard, Executive Director Cynthia Hernandez, and Director of Business Retention and Expansion Anna Borchardt are accepting the award.
program that we're implementing this summer. We appreciate that very much. Thank you for all your support of our students.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, thank you. And Joe, Anna, and Cynthia, thank y'all so much for everything you do for our students, for providing opportunities, but also for being such great partners with the school district, with the city of Belton, and for bringing new business and new jobs to town that hopefully our students can fill. Thank y'all so much.
And a very generous donation to match the workforce grant. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. All right, next up, public comments, and I did not receive any forms that anyone wanted to speak to the board in public comments. Is there anyone that would like to address the board now? All right, seeing no takers, we'll move on to public hearing to discuss federal programs and the Every Student Succeeds Act. Celia?
Welcome to the Federal Programs Public Hearing for Belton ISD. We are beginning the plan for our 2018-19 ESSA Consolidated Application. And during that time, we review what we've done with the funds in the previous year and make plans for what best fits our school and campus's needs for the coming year. Okay. I'm replacing NCLB with ESSA, ESSA, and it renews the U.S. Department of Education's emphasis on providing a comprehensive needs assessment and improvement planning and matching that for our monitoring of student outcomes and the coordinated use of federal funds. The money begins at the Department of Education, is then allocated to TEA, who then allocates it to the local districts. Funding allocations are made based on the number of free and reduced students, migrant students in our district, and the number of students identified as language English proficient. TEA has established 4 priorities: retaining teachers and principals, building a foundation of reading and mathematics, connecting high school to career and college, and improving low-performing schools. We review our needs assessment and align those to one or more of the priorities. Last year, we aligned to the building a foundation of reading and mathematics, and look forward to our improved scores this year after supporting that priority. Our district is able to run school-wide Title I programs due to at least 40% eligibility at designated campuses. Once the campus qualifies as Title I, the school-wide program can benefit all students based on their academic needs. Title I provides financial assistance to districts that serve high numbers or high percentages of economically disadvantaged children. The money is used for academic enrichment and is supplemental to the required and basic programs in the district. We have 9 Title I campuses for the coming year. Title I funds, we have allocated for this year $1,356,139. Last year, we had a decrease in most of our funds. This year, there is actually an increase, which is there we go, which is a positive thing for our students and our efforts. We were able to provide supplemental instructional aids and staff, intervention staff, and we look forward to doing that again next year. Also, some supplemental supplies and some campus-based professional development. Our McKinney-Vento homeless education program, identifies students who are homeless, and we actually had a significant increase of 29% of identified homeless students this year. We ended up with 564 students. Part of our Title I funds, we do a set-aside reserve, and those funds are used to part fund a homeless liaison salary, provide summer enrichment activities, and take care of their basic hygiene and school supplies. Our Title I Part C, our migrant program, is money specific to students who have had their schooling interrupted because of a move due to fishing and agriculture. We did have 13 migrant students identified last year, which was an increase. I think one of the higher numbers we've had so far. But even with 13 students, due to that low number, we contract with Region 12 in a shared service agreement, and they help guide our teachers, staff, and principals on how to best serve our migrant students' needs during the year. And we will continue that shared service agreement for next year. Our Title II, staff training and retention, is to help retain our teachers and our principals and to keep them on the cutting edge of our scientifically researched curriculum. We provide targeted campus training and district training. We again are providing a teacher learning conference in August, and that will provide rich training for our teachers to start the school year. We also provide certification for bilingual teachers with bilingual certifications. Those are hard to come by, those teachers, and so we pay a sign-on bonus out of Title II funds as an incentive to attract them to Belton. Title III is for our English language learners. It provides enhanced instructional opportunities for students who qualify, and it helps them attain English proficiency and academic achievement. We have a newcomer program for students who have been in the U.S. for 2 years or less. Our bilingual campuses include Bex, Chisholm Trail, Southwest, and Sparta. And our funds for next year, $72,456, and we look forward to serving our students in that program with those funds. Title IV was new to us last year, student support and academic enrichment. It had 3 goals, and we had activities in each of those goals. We included a college advising program for counselors, teaching supplies for high school PE lessons on wellness, and PD for Schoology, the new learning management system. We had a significant increase to this from last year, and in order to implement school safety improvements on campuses, we are looking to hire a coordinator in safety and maybe using our Title IV funds to support that position. At the campuses, the parent engagement opportunities are as unique as the individual campuses themselves. Each Title I campus schedules activities that encourages parents' participation and involvement in their students' learning. 1% of the Title I allotment is reserved for these important activities. We also have opportunities at the district level for parents to participate. One of our well-attended opportunities is our ESL class that we have for our bilingual parents, and we have that both in the fall and the spring. And parents can also participate in other district committees. We always value the input of parents and staff, community members, and our private school staff as well as we make plans for our grant this year. So we are currently writing our grant, and our application is due July 1st. So any input that you would like to provide, we do value and welcome that input.
All right, thank you, Celia. This is a public hearing, so does anyone from the public have any questions? Seeing none, does anyone on the board have questions, comments? All right, thank you. Well done. Okay, now we'll move to the consent agenda. Do any board members have anything they want pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Motion from Ms. Lee, second from Mr. Norwood. All in favor of the approving the consent agenda, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Dr. Kincannon. Up next with Superintendent's Report.
Okay, I have just a couple of items this evening for the Superintendent's Report. The first is to let you know that Bob Templeton will be here with us next month, and we're planning a workshop meeting to talk about the attendance boundaries process with the board. So if you have any particular questions you want Bob to address when he comes next month, if you'll get those to me in advance, I'll work with him to make sure he does address those, or you can ask them when you come, either way. And remember, we're preparing to start that process in August, so it will be July before we know it. I wanted to take a minute to talk about the STAR testing results. They're your preliminary results. There was an article in the Temple Daily Telegram this weekend. And while I'm not ready to give a full report this evening, I do want to hit the highlights for you, and I'll send you that data, and then we'll do a full report in July. But I wanted to let you know that Belton ISD exceeded the state passing rate in every subject and every grade level except for English 2, where we were equal to the state results, and 7th grade math, where our pre-AP 7th graders take the 8th grade STAR. Passing the 8th grade STAR is a prerequisite for Algebra 1 in Belton ISD. We're required to have a prerequisite that has our students demonstrating mastery of the TEKS before they can, the 8th grade TEKS before they can enroll in Algebra 1, and we do that by having those students take the 8th grade exam. That's a local decision. About a third of our 7th grade students took the 8th grade exam, so that's significant to note. In reading, 20 to about 33% of our students mastered the STAR test, depending on the grade level. Grade 6 was about 20% mastery, and grade 3 was about 33% mastery. When you have about a third of your students mastering, that's a really good indicator of the strength of your instructional program. We're really proud of that. We exceeded the state master's level in 4th grade, with some campuses having mastery percentages between 19 and 23%. For elementary math, the district mastery percentage was 30 to 36%, depending again on the grade level, with some schools having over 40% mastery. So mastery is the very highest bar, missing very few questions on an assessment. And so we're very pleased with those results. In science at all grade levels, our percent of students scoring mastery is higher than the state by up to 11 percentage points, again, depending on the grade level. We also outperformed the state mastery level for U.S. history, and it's notable that a high percentage, again, of our students achieved at the highest level of mastery performance, again, demonstrating that strength of our instructional program. But there's room to improve, and so we have already identified some areas, and as we'll work through the data, I know we'll identify some others. We continue to need to focus on writing. We've been working on that for, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 years now, and we'll continue to do that. We also need to continue to focus on closing the gaps between non-economically disadvantaged students and economically disadvantaged students at all campuses. And then we want to continue to identify ways to meet student needs at campuses with the highest percentage of economically disadvantaged students. So we have a few schools that have a very high percentage of low SES students, and we really need to continue to focus on those schools. And so beyond writing and the performance of those low SES campuses, we need to stay focused on student achievement across the board in our district with our
instructional plans, our professional development, and the data is useful to us in refining those plans. And so we will stay the course and keep working to improve. I'll send you the data, and then we'll give you a full report on that in July. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kincannon. Sounds like positive news on the STAR testing front. Look forward to the final results in July. And next up is our, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vicki, is our third of four A
Yes,
through F accountability
it's
presentations.
the third one of a series, part 5. There's 5.
Oh, five, okay.
5, yes.
I stand corrected. I'm excited about that.
There's more to come. Right in the middle.
These have been enjoyable and educational. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm so glad. Thank you for thinking positively about this.
All right, it's all yours.
Well, today I'm going to go over Domain 2, and it's my understanding y'all have gotten a little
We're
of
experts.
an overview of some of
Yes.
those domains.
Well, they're experts. I sat through it, but
So if you catch something I say wrong, feel free to fill me in. So as we go through this, as Dr. Kincannon kind of gave you an overview of those scores and highlighting those, our overall goal is meeting our vision of our district and preparing students not only for the STAR test, but to excel in tomorrow's world. Is this little thing working, or should I use this one? This one? Okay. Well, am I going the right way? No, this way. As a review, this goes back to House Bill 22 that was passed last year that gave us the law that we need to rate schools and the districts with an A through F rating. And our timeline is, as our final rulings are starting to come out in the accountability manual, and we're still receiving some of that information as of last week. As we get that information, and then in August or September, we will get what those final ratings are for the school district, and then ratings for campuses if they met standard or if there's improvement required. But everyone still falls in under this new accountability system. So let me just kind of go back over and let's review what we've gone over so far. We have 3 domains. The first one is over student achievement, which we talked about last month, and I'll review that. And then tonight we're going to go in a little more depth on student growth, which is domain 2. And then next month, you'll have the pleasure of hearing about domain 3, which is closing the gaps. So domain 1 truly focuses on student achievement when we look at elementary and middle school. All that information only comes straight from STAR and STAR Alt 2. What's our percentage of our kids that approach, meets, and masters? And if you remember, they take all those percents, add them together, and then divide by 3. And then with high school, along with the district, 40% of that data comes from your EOC data, as well as then 40% comes from your graduating class from the previous year of who's college and career and military ready. And then looking at your graduation rate, and that's 20% of a high school and district score. So domain 2, school progress. There's domain 2, part A, and then domain 2, part B. And part A strictly focuses on, have we grown from last year? Did kids stay at the same performance level, or did they improve from the previous year? So that's what part A looks at. Part B looks at relative performance, and we'll go in a little more detail in a minute. But it looks at, okay, how did our kids perform on Domain 1, on student achievement, compared to what our students should have performed, just our economically disadvantaged students. And so you compare those. So let's look at Domain 2, Part A, academic growth. So if the chart that you're looking at is basically how we can kind of put it in a visual so you can see that information. So it looks at, okay, how does a student perform last year? So I have a student who mastered last year. So in 3rd grade reading, they mastered the test. So in 4th grade reading, did they master or did they meet or approach? And so if they were at the same level, if they mastered, then you get a point for that student. So that's what you see, the 165. If a student did not meet at that master's level, they're in red. You don't get any points for that student. So even though they might have still achieved at the meets level or the approaches level, you don't get any points for them. So hence why you see those numbers in red. So you're just looking at comparing from the previous year to this year and charting that out. So how you get your score for that is looking at how many students I got no points for, how many students did I get a half a point, because I could get a half a point for a student who might have passed the year before, passed this year, but didn't make enough progress for me to get a whole point for that student. So I could get a half a point for that student. So you can see on the chart that y'all have, let's say a student who didn't pass last year and still didn't pass this year, but they made significant growth, I could get a point for those students. So I'm going to look at how many students made no growth, so I don't get any points for them. And then I look at how many students I maintained, but they didn't grow enough. I get a half a point for them. And then I get a whole point for the students that I stayed at that level and made progress with. So I add all of that up, and then I divide it by the number of tests that I have. Not the number of students, but the number of tests that I have. And then I divide that, and that gives me my Domain 1, Part A, student progress percent. And so as you can see, for this case, for this subject in this school, 78% of our kids we got some sort of point for. Okay. So we get that data when we get that information back from the state. Did they approach, meets, masters? Did they make limited progress, significant progress, or exceeded progress? That's the data that you'll get back. So that's Part A. Any questions on Part A? Pretty simple formula. So then we get to Domain 2, School Progress, Part B, Relative Performance. And what that is, it looks at two measures. It looks at Domain 1, your score, your STAR performance score for elementary and middle school, or it's going to look at the average of your STAR performance and CCMR data for high school. So it's going to get that score. And then it's going to look at, okay, so what's your percent of economically disadvantaged students? So in our case, our data from last year, Belton ISD is at 47%. So it's going to compare those two on a graph. So where did this graph come from? So let's take a look at that. So here's the graph that the state has developed, where they took and mapped out the actual last year's 2016-17 campus and district student achievement scores and put those on the y-axis. So they put all those dots all over the board. And then on the x-axis, you can see there's the economically disadvantaged. So they charted all the schools across the state. And then they ran a quadratic equation that created that curved line there. And then they said, okay, this is what we call the line of best fit. So that's where you see the C. So if you are on that line, you're an average school. You're kind of where you're supposed to be performing. And then they graph from then on. So if you're above the line, you're in a B and an A. If you're below the line, you're a D and an F. So for this to make sense to me, I needed to take and put two schools that had the same performance, but their percent of economically disadvantaged was different. So I had one district that their domain 1 score was a 50, and another district, their domain score was a 50, but one district, they're at 69% economically disadvantaged, and the other district is at 29% economically disadvantaged. So the district that had 50% performance, but a high economically percent disadvantage, is predicted, since that's, you're performing better than your cohorts, you receive a B. Where the district that has only 29% economically disadvantaged, you're not performing like your other cohorts in that same percentage, so you receive a letter D. So that's what Domain 2 School Progress Part D is, B. So it's really not looking at student growth. It's just comparing how you should have done based on the predictions that the state has said from the year before. So far, 70% of an overall grade will come from either Domain 1, Domain 2 Part A, or Domain 2 Part B. So depending on which one of those is your better score is what they're going to use to multiply that times 70. So if your Domain 1 is not as good as your Domain 2 Part A, they'll use that score. So that's how they're going to calculate that so far. And that is it about Domain 2, School Progress, Part A and Part B. Any questions?
All right, we are not taking action on this. It was for a report only. So, chance to ask questions, anyone?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Microphone.
I'm on, good. Check, check. Well, maybe not. So even for Part 2, it's the better of Part A or Part B?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I guess that's new for me. I want to say thank you
You're
for
welcome.
everything that you're doing so far with this. I've had the pleasure of attending the two prior here, and then also a couple additional presentations on this. And I think you guys are doing an amazing job sort of digesting what's coming through, and sort of looking ahead and trying to figure out where we're going to fit to this, and then sort of looking at how are we going to move forward from this, right? So you're doing a great job. I think there's a lot of people sort of sitting in our seats around the state that don't get this, and you're doing a great job so far. I'm starting to understand, which I think is which is huge. But there's a lot of folks that don't get it. So thank you for everything you're doing. It's making sense.
Oh, well, I appreciate you saying that. It's taken a team for us to kind of digest it. I digest it first, and then run it by some other people, and then, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting to, I guess there's a difference between understanding how they're getting there and being able to judge schools on the grade that they get based on this very complicated formula that the state has come up with. And so I think it is going to be difficult for us as a system to communicate what does it mean about the quality of our schools. And I think it's hard to generalize from this one assessment or this one system everything that happens in a school and what we do with our kids. And so we've struggled with really how to communicate this to the public and in a way that makes sense so that you really understand what an A, B, C, or a D means. And it might be near impossible to do that, except to say that it's based on a very limited scope of data. It's one test predominantly with some other factors mixed in there, but it's a pretty complicated formula. So it's been a struggle for us as a team to digest it. So I appreciate you acknowledging that it is coming through the system and it is different and it is a shift in the way we've done business. So hard.
Any other questions? Well, I agree with Chris. I think you've done a great job of presenting it, and it is very complicated. And like I said before, I'm still not a big fan of the A through F system and the continued reliance on high-stakes testing, but I am understanding it much better, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
They sung your praises, Vicki, at the conference because they were
Yeah.
about 3 steps ahead.
Good, I'm glad I was able to, y'all can say, oh, I know that, I already know that.
They did.
Yep.
They really did.
Well, more to come, stay tuned for July.
2 more. All right, thank you, Vicki. Dr. Lovesmith, how are you?
I am all right.
Good.
Thank you very much. I am coming to you tonight for the first reading of revisions to EIC local and EIC exhibit. And I do want to thank Janet Lee for serving on a committee with us and representing the board to really digest all that's going on here in this policy. So let me start by saying that EIC local is the board policy that governs how grade point averages are calculated to determine class rank. And so there's a special policy and procedure that goes in place for specifically determining who will ultimately be the val, sal, and then the class rank within the whole system. This is a complete revision. This is not just a couple changes, and so I want to go over those with you in a little bit about the process. So we determined that we did need to, in fact, completely revise EIC local. One, because we have a second comprehensive high school coming, and we needed to really look, it was time to do a refresh on that. Also, we know that with that second comprehensive high school, New Tech will become a part of BHS. And so we needed to look at how those two would interact with each other. And then also just to review all of our courses. So we have a span of courses from our advanced academic and dual credit. We have a lot of new blended courses that have come in play, new CTE offerings, special education courses that we just really wanted to make sure we kind of reevaluated everything. So as part of that process in January, we developed a committee. We were actually supposed to meet. We had some bad weather, so we met 4 times throughout the semester. We had 36 individuals that were invited to serve on that committee, and they were selected based on a variety of perspectives. So we had administrators, counselors, teachers, parents, and students, but we also had people who could speak on behalf of our counseling programs, our CTE programs, athletics, our advanced academics and fine arts, and special education. So we really wanted all different types of perspectives in the room. Then we ran into some questions along the way with what we wanted to do with some specific areas in the policy. And we met, Christine Flores and I met with 16 of our top academic students from both high schools. And they provided some great perspective because they are the ones that are impacted by this policy the most, our top achievers. We met 4 times, and we're bringing to you tonight the proposed policy. So I'm going to go through just kind of the overview of it. So it's always a challenge when you make revisions to this type of policy because we want to start it with our incoming students and not change the trajectory of current kids that are currently in the system. However, we did have to make some changes just to make sure that the language flowed One of the things we did, we shifted the former policy, so you'll see a lot of edits. I'm sure you noticed throughout your policy. It might have been a little hard to read with all those edits. In general, we changed language that instead of ever saying for students who enter ninth grade, we switched everything to a graduating class. So we'll always refer to a student as the class in which they graduate, and that will govern whatever rules they follow, no matter when they started as a freshman. They'll follow that particular graduating class. So starting with the graduating class of 2022 and beyond. So that's for our current, our students who will be ninth grade in the fall. We are going to completely change how we calculate their GPA. So in lieu of just the former policy, which is where we added points to their grade point average, we added a weighted system. We're going to categorize their classes. And you will see we have created 4 levels. An EIC exhibit will be the chart that we will follow when making those transitions from grades. So depending upon what course which level that is how that particular grade in that course will translate, and it will translate over to a 7.0 grade point scale. Remember, this is just for class rank purposes. And you thought A through F was fun. So this will be our chart to follow. Our level 4, which will be on the 7.0 scale, will be all of our AP courses. Our level 3 courses will be our pre-AP and dual credit courses. Level 2 will be regular courses. Level 1 courses will be courses that are modified for skill, like a skills-based course. And we'll use that to calculate, and everything will be weighted for a GPA. That's the first part. Any questions on that piece? I'd like to kind of go over it in the 3 pieces just to make sure I don't save it all too much to the end. So that's the biggest shift, and that's for the new students coming in. Okay, then we do need to make some changes with some students in the current system to make sure that we're in preparation for what's ahead with our new schools. So for graduating classes of 2021 and beyond, so those are our students that will next year be our 9th graders and our sophomores. New Tech and Belton High School class rank will need to be calculated together. And that will be in effect then for when they graduate in 2021. In order to do that, and we need to do that because of the combining of the new schools and the creation of the second comprehensive high school, we will need to change the way dual credit is calculated. Currently, it's added 15 points at Belton High School and 10 points at New Tech. We'll need to add 15 points at both campuses. These are students who have not taken dual credit courses yet, so it's occurring before they make the decision to take those courses. And that's really important because we don't want to change a policy midway through when kids have, maybe one year kids were taking dual credit courses and then the next year it would really affect grade points. So this is being done prior to them enrolling in those classes. Any questions on that change? That's this year's 9th and 10th grade. This year meaning the 18-19 school year. Then we did need to make some changes, just some global changes, and these are mostly changes that are procedural, so they won't impact negatively any child's class rank. One is to clearly state that a grade below a 70 will not be weighted. We only have one current instance where that has risen as an issue, and that is in our dual credit courses. So a 60 in a dual credit course is passing for the college, but a 60 is not passing for high school. So we want to clarify that if you receive a grade below a 70, no matter what course it's in, that will not receive a weight. We are going to change we're proposing to change when we calculate class rank. We currently calculate class rank at the second week of the 4th grading period. We would like to move that to the end of the 3rd 9-week period. The 3rd 9-week period is what we would refer to as kind of a hard deadline. It's a hard grade. The second week of the 4th grading period is where grades are still fluid. They're not a finalized grade, and we would like to move to a practice where a final grade is what is used for class rank, given the importance of class rank. And then final grades will be used for dual credit courses if received by May 15th. We do not currently have a problem with that. We do get final grades from our partnering universities by that deadline. That's why we chose that date, because at that point in time, they are closed. However, in the event that we don't receive a final grade, for instance, we did, I said we didn't have a problem, we did just receive 4 students that are going to be able to continue that course. We need to have a hard grade from the college. So if we don't receive it by May 15th, we simply will not weight it. The student will still get that credit or course grade whenever it's finalized, but for class rank purposes, it will need to be received by May 15th. And then this policy also governs how we will recognize our valedictorian and salutatorian. And after talking with, this is where this specific piece is where our high school students gave their input, because this was a challenge to really kind of think through. And what we're proposing is that we will name a Val and Sal at Belton High School, Belton New Tech High School, Wasco, and Lake Belton High School. We currently have that practice in place at Belton High School and New Tech. That practice will continue even when New Tech and Belton High School are one graduating class. They still have separate ceremonies, so for ceremonial purposes, a Val and Sal will be named at each of those ceremonies. However, we specifically identify in this policy that the highest ranking graduate must meet local eligibility criteria as the valedictorian, and that the highest ranking graduate between the Belton High and New Tech will receive the state certificate for college. And that is because at that point in time, Belton High School and New Tech will be one campus, and we can only recognize one person to receive the highest ranking graduate recognition by the state. This policy also clarifies that whoever receives that recognition must have been eligible to be our valedictorian. That is a change. It's not one that we've run into a situation with. However, we could, so we want to make sure we're clear. The way our policy reads, our valedictorian must have been here the last 4 semesters. So technically, somebody could have moved in their senior year, not been valedictorian, but been the highest ranking graduate. So we want to clarify exactly who that will be. We did a lot of research with other districts to see the different types of languages that were used to make sure that we're answering everything in policy and not left up to some of our questions in the end that happen. Questions that you have about this?
I do want to say that this has just been an amazing process for me. And the reason that I volunteered to represent the board on this is I just recently taken 2 children completely through this process who had to navigate this GPA, how all of that works and how do you perform best and what classes do you have to take so that you can perform best. And it's a complicated thing. And Deanna and her team, Kim Christie Anderson, everybody who participated with her did such a professional job. We studied, districts from all over, had all their policies and would read every single one, compare them to ours. What do we need to change as we go through this process of combining high schools? And every stone
no stone was left unturned. And
I hope not.
I mean, and they thought and rethought, and she probably lost sleep over it.
A little.
I did a little bit. But the group was, and some of you in here actually sat through that process, and you know how well it was done. And even, on some of our more controversial issues, she had already taken it to the students so that she could come back and talk to us about what the students desire and how she had presented it to them to work out and hash out what they thought would be fair. And that helped all of us. I felt like it was just such a diplomatic thing. It was run so well.
Thank you.
Very high level of professionalism. And in the end, I think we were all very comfortable with where it stands now and the wording, and we feel like we've done exactly what we need for Belton High School, or for Belton ISD at this point.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do want to just echo on something that you said, I wish I'd said earlier. This policy is personal. And it's personal, not for me, but it's personal for what we do for Belton ISD. And you're going to see, and I am following all the articles and the conversations that are happening around the state with what to do about class rank and what to do about dual credit and advanced academics and where to weight things. And what I'm going to say is we're following those conversations, but in the end, however, this policy is written all different kinds of ways, and we did study multiple policies, and it's really about what's best for our students in this time and with the courses we offer. And so I appreciate you, your kind words, and I do feel like we covered every stone.
We really did, and it honors students in every way that it possibly can. I feel like it's just as fair as it can possibly be.
Thank you.
And it was a significant step forward towards the opening of Lake Belton High School. So all of that, we talk about all of those parts to get to that opening of the school. This was very significant work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
That's great. Anyone else have questions? I like the sound of that, another stepping stone to getting to the point of opening the new high school. And I always appreciate when the process involves getting key stakeholders involved, especially when it's kids, so I appreciate that. Janet, thank you for serving on that committee. Glad it was you.
I enjoyed it.
Good. And thank you to anyone else and everyone else that served on that
It was
committee.
a team effort. And so.
Well, we appreciate that. That's an important part of the process and of the results that come out of it, but thank you as well, Dr. Lovesmith. All right. And by the way, we have no action to take on that. We will next month, I believe, receive another presentation on it, and we will be taking action hopefully in July on that. So, all right, up next, Mr. Schiller.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As you can tell from your packet, it's been a very active month in
Yes.
human resources. It's that
Time of
June
year.
of every year, it seems like. But we have a lot of recommendations tonight. I'm going to start by introducing some people. Some of these individuals are non-contracted individuals, but I do see them in the room and just want you to have an opportunity to see those and recognize those individuals. I'll start off with Rachel Starnes for Assistant Director of Technology. Stand up, Rachel. Rachel has a bachelor's degree in mathematics, actually, from UMHB. She's completed 23 years of work-related experience, 9 years of those at Belton ISD, so we do appreciate her and her role there. We have, didn't think I saw Rick Martinez walk in, but he's our Director of Maintenance. Hopefully we'll be able to introduce him at a future board meeting. Non-contracted individual. Lila Kirkpatrick. Lila has accepted the special ed coordinator position, master's degree of education from Texas A&M University, bachelor's of science in animal science. And she has 16 years in education. We're excited for her to be here tonight as well. And next, Christy Decker-Baird. There she is. Master's degree, secondary education, bachelor's of science degree in biology. She has been with Belton ISD for 3 years and has been currently the Lake Belton Middle School assistant principal. Happy for her role. Barbara, I didn't see Barbara Epperson, I don't think. Barbara Epperson has accepted the Coordinator of Secondary Social Studies position. We're excited for her to begin that role. And then Erica Garrett. Lake Belton Middle School Assistant Principal, has 11 years here in Belton ISD. Then she had 2 former years in Killeen ISD, but we are excited for her to be here. Sharina Hubbard. Sharina is back in the district after a small stint in Killeen ISD for 1 year. So we're happy that she's back, and she will be a Pirtle Assistant Principal. Julie Kearney. Julie has 27 years in education, had a master's degree from Tarleton State University, and she comes to us from Coppers Cove. Angela Tarrant. Angela Tarrant, Assistant Principal, Chisholm Trail, has a 1 year here in Belton ISD at Pirtle Elementary, but she has 19 years formerly in Temple ISD, so we're excited to have her. That's the administrative recommendations. Outside of those, we have 51 other professional positions that we have on the board that we made offers through this month, and we've received and accepted 25 resignations. We're actively recruiting for 22 remaining teaching positions. That's it.
And to,
Need to make a motion
Rachel-
on the administrative recommendations.
It's to take action on
Take action.
Right.
administrative.
Yep, we have to take action. Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
Anyone have any questions? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion that we approve those. Motion from Ms. Jordan. Second from Mr. Camden. All in favor, raise your hand. That passes unanimously. All right, welcome aboard. Rachel, Lila, Christy, Erica, Sharina, Julie, and Angela. Thank you all for coming tonight. And you're welcome to come every month. But I understand if you don't. As you know, we in Belton like to, we're very proud of the fact that we are the district of choice in our area. So for all of you in your areas, keep that in mind as you move forward. It's a big effort to uphold, but we appreciate you joining us. All right, Mr. Schiller, next.
Yes, sir. We have a recommendation tonight to accept a recommendation to propose to terminate the 2018-19 term contract of Melissa De La Rosa, professional employee, and authorization of the board president to send written notice to the professional employee that the board proposes to terminate the 2018-19 term contract for good cause.
Okay. So, do I need to read that, reread that motion, or are we good with?
No.
Okay, all right. Do we have a motion? Mr. Norwood? Motion from Mr. Norwood. Second? Second from Mr. Floor. All those in favor, raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Schiller. Okay. Jennifer, come on up and welcome back. It's that time of year for you. With a 2018-19 budget update.
Good evening, President Cowan, board members, Dr. Kincannon. I just have a brief budget update for you tonight. Remember last month I talked to you about how we have three different budgets you have to adopt: the general fund, the child nutrition or school nutrition fund, as well as the debt service. And this month, I'm going to be talking to you briefly about the debt service. There we go. All right. I want to always keep our budget priorities at the forefront. We are here to support the academic achievement of kids and make sure that our support and everything we do aligns with the district improvement plan as well as the campus improvement plans, and maintaining our facilities and providing staff and students what they need to succeed. And, okay. So on our school nutrition budget, as with the general fund, we make some small assumptions. And one of the assumptions that we've made in terms of revenues is you just approved a 10-cent increase in student lunch prices. It was only the lunch prices. And that's something that we have to do each year, is evaluate our lunch prices because of paid lunch equity requirements. And we also have made the assumption that our reimbursement rates will not change because the National School Lunch Program is federally funded and it's based on certain reimbursement rates, as well as Leon Heights Elementary is becoming a CEP campus next year. And what a CEP campus, what that entails is that they get free breakfast and lunch. All students are fed for free. There is no charge for the students. And with Leon Heights becoming a CEP campus, we do anticipate a small increase in revenue. We're still evaluating that because we should receive or get higher participation since all students eat for free. But our reimbursement percentage for CEP campuses might dip slightly. So we're evaluating that. And with our expenditures on the school nutrition budget, we've included some capital purchases, about $300,000 of capital purchases, because we are constantly watching our fund balance for our child nutrition funds because we don't want it to get too high, but we also constantly monitor that so we can make sure that we're taking care of the needs of the students and the students who are providing the revenue for us to get these items and maintain that program. We have also added some additional positions to support growth because as our district grows, we do have to add positions to maintain a quality level of service in the cafeterias as well. And then also we have included a slight pay increase, and as with the general fund, I looked at a 2%. Also, with the debt service, we are assuming on revenues that our our tax rate for interest and sinking will stay at the 43.3 cents for the next year. And again, we still have bonds that we have to go out for our remaining funds. So we want to be able to ensure that we have that debt capacity. So that's why we don't anticipate lowering that rate. Also, we are basing our revenues for debt service on the 5.06 growth, which is the preliminary values, and you'll see that I have the 3 different scenarios there, just like I presented with the general fund. And then with the state, we're still anticipating receiving some assistance with the existing debt allotment and instructional facility allotment funds. And expenditures, we don't make a lot of assumptions or any assumptions because those are pretty static. We get those amount from our debt book. So with the school nutrition funds, if you look at this budget, there's not much different from prior years, just a slight increase in revenue. But you will notice that we are intentionally we will ask you to adopt most likely a revenue short budget, but that's intentional because we have those capital project expenses that we are incurring. And again, like I said, we're watching our fund balance in that budget. And with debt service, here are our 3 different scenarios based on where certified values will come in, but each scenario still lends itself to a sizable contribution to fund balance. And that is actually something that we want to do so that we can try to pay down debt quickly, as well as, again, build up our debt capacity, because one of the things that we have to watch as a growing district is we have to watch that capacity, because we do anticipate that we will continue to need that debt capacity to go out for bonds as we grow and need additional facilities. So our next steps, again, July, I'll be back with you in terms, hopefully, we'll have certified values at that time, and we will have a pretty much a finalized budget for you. And then in August, that's where I'll be before you to adopt the budget and set the tax rate for the coming year. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
I do have one. Early in our packet, I don't know that we need to go back and look at it, but it's back on page 45. There was a look at average daily attendance, and estimated daily attendance, right? So it looks like we're in a good spot where the actual is higher than the estimated. How does that get incorporated into the budget? How does that impact what we're looking at?
In terms of next year's budget, what we do is we have to estimate the average daily attendance because our funding is derived from our daily attendance. So we take I'd use a historical trend based on where we've been in the past, and I do it by 6 weeks. There's a template that I use, and it gives us some projections and predictions regarding where we could possibly end up. And again, funding is based on ADA, as well as our tax revenue and some other small factors, but that's our primary drivers for our state funding. So ADA is a critical indicator or impact on our funding.
So if we overachieve for this year, where do we see that impact?
Well, what I've been trying to incorporate that into each month's financials, because I look at that each month. So as I see that we're increasing, I try to rerun what's called the state funding template and create a projection based on where I think we will be. Okay?
And sometimes we amend our budget based on the ADA. Can you speak to that, Jennifer?
We have, well, since I've been on, I have not amended the budget, but I normally do what I like to call a true-up of the budget, a true-up to personnel costs sometimes, as well as the ADA. If we see a significant increase in ADA, that's where I would be bringing a budget amendment to you, whether it's a significant increase or decrease. If it's something that's going to impact us significantly, I would come to you and bring you that so we can talk about it.
So I think what I just heard is make sure the kids get to school.
Yes.
Attendance is very
Right.
important.
Attendance is important
Yes.
for more than just the educational piece of it. Yeah.
We would like for it to
And
be
for
based
the-
on enrollment, but we have to have them in their seats to get the
And when
funding.
kids are in school, they learn.
Yeah.
And you heard that it's important for the current year and for the next year, for next year's budget, so. Any other questions? All right.
All right, thank
Jennifer,
you.
Thank you. A few more steps in the process and we'll be done. But thank you I know a lot goes into that. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you to your team as well. Ms. Schiller, welcome back up.
Yeah, thank you.
Now a big piece of the budget that we need to discuss.
That is correct. So last month, we reviewed the salary information, the salary plan that we put together and for the 2018-19 school year. In this meeting, we're recommending a $1,200 increase for teachers, librarians, and nurses, and a 2% increase on midpoint for all other staff. We've been working closely with the budget office, with Jennifer Land. You just heard from her about salary increases being included in that proposed budget, and that is the recommendation that we're considering tonight. For $1,448,027 is the total cost prior to benefits.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Schiller. We are taking action on this, so does anyone have any questions, thoughts? All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve a 2% salary increase and the recommendations of administration. Motion from Ms. Jordan, second from Ms. Lee. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
And though that was a quick process on our part, we know how important it is to our employees, and as important is an opportunity to say thank you to all of our employees for everything they do for our kids and for our school district every day. So thank you all. Thank you to everyone that works at Belton ISD. All right, and next up, we need to approve the superintendent's salary. And it is my recommendation that we move forward, first of all, by saying thank you to Dr. Kincannon. Thank you for everything that you do for our school district. Thank you for your great leadership. We believe as a board that we have an outstanding superintendent of schools here who has done an outstanding job of putting together an amazing team that work very well toward taking great care of our kids and our school district and our community. And we greatly appreciate everything you do. So it's my recommendation that that we propose a salary for Dr. Kincannon of $215,000, and I'd entertain a motion for that. Motion from Mr. Floor, second from Mr. Camden. All in favor, raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Kincannon.
Thank you very much. And if I may, you know, going to conference and interacting with some of our peers and listening to some of their tales of woe, we get to hear all those horror stories, particularly about superintendents. And I have to tell you guys, we have the best of the best. We have the Superintendent of the Year, #revote. Thank you, Chris, for that. But this lady here is an amazing individual. We watched her try to learn and govern the district from wherever she was through her handy-dandy little phone. She was so busy, just so concerned at all times, constantly looking at the face of her phone, making sure that no stone was left unturned. She made sure that this went without a hitch. You make what we do extremely easy. Thank you very much.
We don't have to worry about a lot of things, and it's because of you. I sat next to a young lady on my very last day, and whew, was I glad to be Sue Jordan from Belton. But that lady told us about how the conflict she had with her superintendent and how she and the other board members decided they were going to choose which schools they were going to represent, so that way the schools, because schools could just go directly to them to complain, not even talk to the superintendent. I would not want that headache. Oh, no. So I just say with as much heartfelt thanks as I can, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Sue. Well said.
Thank you.
All right. Now that the board has taken care of our part in pay for next year, next school year, we'll move on to a review of our 2017 bond projects. Is Jared here? Hey, Jared. Come on up.
And Kurt.
How are you? Hey, Kurt. Thank y'all for coming.
Good evening, everybody. As you did notice, joining me here tonight is Kurt here with us, and he's been on the projects throughout, served on the track and field project as we went through that design and construction progress, and now he's taken a heavy hand here in the projects as we're moving forward with the 2017 bond program, particularly with the high school, but is also handling the elementary school as well. So he's the day-to-day boots on the ground. I know that David sees him a lot here along the way, but y'all will start seeing him a lot here as well as we move forward. So this month had the opportunity to present the June update for the construction progress, and as previously, this is not my chart, but
Can you go through that for us?
I can. So line 1 says, oh, did I hit the wrong button? Yep, oh, okay. So the first one, Charter Oak Elementary School. So this is with cloud construction. Last time when we went through the construction progress and really over the last 6 months, since January, we've seen them start the dirt work, go through the building pad, ultimately get the foundation put in place. And then actually, over the last couple of weeks, we're actually starting to see a building come together, or at least what feels like a building. So much of the steel has been delivered on site, including joists and decks and beams and columns. And so the construction photos there you see are of the north section of the building. So that's our third, fourth, fifth grade wing, and they're going to work south. So you can start seeing some of the corridors and hallways and the building starting to feel like an actual building from that standpoint. They're going to be continuing that process here over the next several months. And then kind of cascading as they finish that in one section, they'll start doing the framing, they'll start doing the roofing work and MEP work, kind of following behind. So we've seen a lot of work now underground. Now we start seeing a lot of work above ground, and also the number of workers on site is going to greatly increase because we're going to be able to open it up to a lot of the trades from that standpoint. Overall, Cloud's doing a great job of staying on schedule, so everything's looking good here for the finish line, and still working that and making sure they're staying on top of it. So next two projects, Wall Street Auditorium and Lakewood, are Masonic construction. So on this one, last time we were looking at some general improvements. They really worked on the roof in the last little bit. And then really over the last several weeks, and you'll notice as you drive by, they've started the site work as well. So they've demolished a lot of the flat work out front, the asphalt parking, and starting to get those things in place. The roof has been completely dried in, and they're floating the ceiling in the auditorium. So we're working through those elements of kind of buttoning that up as well. That one is targeting an August completion at this point, so just about 2 months away on this one. Lakewood Gymnasium, or elementary school, with the gymnasium and music classroom addition. So this one likewise feels about where Charter Oak will be here shortly, of getting the exterior walls up, structural steel, and the sheathing. And now they've got that completely wrapped, and on that side, working through the interior design, or some of the interior elements and mechanical, getting those things put in place. And then you'll see the far right image is actually the exterior installation. That's about 3/4 of the way up on the building. So brick should be starting here soon, if not already, and making that look like a finished product here. And of course, then finally, so this is our Lake Belton High School with construction manager at risk, Bartlett Koch. So of course, the pretty pictures of what it will look like here in about 2 months, or 2 years, not 2 months. But in the month they have got started, they have really started working and tearing up the site. They've got a lot of it already cleared and grubbed and starting through grading. And as well, if you can, let's see. Oh, can't quite point, but you can look and you can start seeing the edges of the wings kind of in the little shape. We called them the oven mitts, lovingly referred to, but where the educational wings are, that they're starting to grade and getting ready for foundations there on that side, and really working the entire site. So they are, y'all said go, and they went.
They are busy. I was by there this morning, and it is an amazing site. In fact, there's a lot of, looks like pad that's already almost, I mean, it's probably not almost ready, but looks like the pad is getting very close.
Yep, exactly. And so as soon as they can get that ready, they'll start doing utilities once that's in place, and pouring or drilling piers, and starting through that process there. So
You should drive by there and look. It's really something to see.
So that's the highlight of the construction projects from where we're at, and myself or Kurt would entertain any questions that you have.
All right.
Questions?
I've got one from the kids. I got cornered at a party. Lakewood Elementary School.
Yes, sir.
And a bunch of the kids wanted to know when the music room was starting, and so I got them all clear, right? It's in the existing construction. But what I couldn't answer for them was what's happening with the existing gym. I didn't know how to answer that question. Do we know what the plan is for that?
We have talked about that, and I believe we will use that gym primarily for storage at Lakewood. The music classrooms will be gone. We're taking out those old portables, but the gymnasium will stay back there. I hope that's accurate. I'm looking for Judy. I don't see her. We've talked about it on and off, but yeah.
That's the answer I'm going with. I will report back to the kids.
It's not going away. Storage.
No one's the kids hear that.
Until they decide to put something else in there to do, yeah.
Great.
Any other questions? I think we're good.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Okay, up next, we have a discussion, as you all may not be aware. The board every year goes to a summer leadership conference in San Antonio to get continuing education, stay up to speed on what's going on in the education world from a board's perspective. So Dr. Kincannon was there as well. We all went on Wednesday night and had our now board-required House Bill 1566?
Senate Bill
Senate Bill
1566.
1566. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Janet. Training that is now required per the last legislative session. So we all went through that, and that's where we heard a little bit of information on the A through F accountability system. It's accountability training for board members, things that a board should be expected to know. And I thought it was helpful and useful. So not nearly as useful as Vicky's presentations, but I thought it was good. Anyway, so I thought we'd take the opportunity for anyone that has something to share, any sessions you sat through, or anything you heard that you'd like to share with the rest of the board. And we'll start on the end. Jeff, you have anything?
Really, a lot of the sessions were good. I think the main one that I took away had to do with the first session that we attended. Is Kay? Is that her name, the presenter?
Douglas.
Yeah.
Douglas?
Who made a good point of saying nobody likes a high-stakes testing, nobody likes any of this, but the fact of the matter is, and as we all know, it is a snapshot on one day of the year, but she made it a point to say, and I agree with it, that is the rules, though. That's the rules that we play in now, and it is what it is. We have to accept it, move on, and the fact is, based on what we're seeing in your report today, even though we don't look at that as, hey, this is how we should be judged, it is part of how we will be judged. We do very well. I mean, we really do a very good job. And in listening to other schools, we are very lucky in that. So that was really my takeaway.
There was a wide variety of classes. Went to a couple of different ones on school safety and all the different thoughts on that. Lots of different camps of thoughts. A lot of it had to do with the different sizes of districts and their distance from police presence and different things like that. And went to another one that kind of tied into that about school mental health and how we can help students in a real and lasting way, in a mental health way, so that we can combine that with our school safety. Lots of really good insight, I thought, as I just sat and listened to a lot of that, a lot of good takeaways that we're visiting about. And but again, echoing Sue, the biggest takeaway was we have got it so good. Like Susan Kincannon and her team that, she has put together is on top of things. They just are. They're taking care of things. They're taking care of us and you and our kids, and there's not anything they're not aware of. There's not anything they're not exploring. Everything is done, and it just provides so much comfort to sit in there and listen to that and know we really do have it good here.
Well, I'll just give a summary of what our conference means to Sue Jordan. So I look at the conference that we attended and all the things that we experienced, everything from the takeaway sessions to the general sessions. It's kind of like convocation that you all experience at the beginning of the year. It's an opportunity to get pumped up and empowered. There were times, and I'll just go back to last year to this year. Last year, I left the last session just booing. I think Randy and Susan and I were just hanging on each other's necks. We just loved whatever that gentleman said. And this time we were just laughing and having a good time. But it really refreshes you. It's what we tell you all at the end of your school years, to go home, get refreshed, get renewed. That's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we did. It was an opportunity for us to spend some personal time, because outside of this day and this moment, we hardly ever see each other. We're not allowed to say, hey, what's up? What's going on? What's happening? Because we don't want to violate any open meeting snacks or any of those things. But I will tell you, it's a great opportunity, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Great.
Thanks, Sue. Neil?
So I got to echo exactly what other board members have said so far. I got to spend a lot of time in new board member training with our new board member, and
That's where you learn everything.
that's where you learn everything and refresh everything that I should have learned the first time I was in the new board member training.
Yeah.
I'd like to echo the fact that it's something that going to SLI every year re-energizes you and makes you feel proud to be from Belton. Talking to people, listening to the different issues, and comparing notes, something you don't get to do very often. It's a lot of old board members say nobody knows what you're going through until they've done it. Getting to talk to some of these guys that have done it, it's really opens your mind a little bit. And so I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to doing it again.
All right, the new kid.
Yeah, the whirlwind.
Yeah, the new kid didn't have as many options as far as choosing training.
You had more than Ty and I.
Yeah.
You got a second day of choice.
Yeah, so day one for me was an all-day session on the roles and responsibilities of the Board of Trustees versus the superintendent and whose lane is where and stay in it. That was the summary of day one. But and I had some folks with me. I'm not quite sure whether they were there for remedial training or whether they were there to make sure that I didn't get up and walk out. But it was great to have the support, and especially Dr. Kincannon, right? The ability to sit through that class and sort of lean over and say, well, how exactly do we do that in Belton, right? I mean, there was a very valuable experience to kind of be able to do that real time as we were going through it. So that was great. I did sit through a couple other sessions when I did get the freedom, right? I got some additional training, if you want to call it, on the A through F accountability system, effectively scaling performance management, the future of education, student free speech. And so that was all great material. But I think to really sum it all up, I can reiterate everything you guys said, right? I mean, all of the reasons why we wanted to locate in Belton from a family perspective, and why we wanted our children in Belton ISD from an educational perspective, why I wanted to sit up here, I think all of those things were just validated completely with the support from the group that was up here with me, Dr. Kincannon. Oh my goodness, this district is second to none compared to many people I spoke to. And so thank you to anybody that is employed by Belton ISD, top to bottom, right? You make this district amazing, and that really came to life for me at the conference. So, yeah.
One more thing I just wanted to say that is really neat about this conference is each school board that's there represents a very unique place in Texas. So there's people that are right on the border, and then people way up in the panhandle, and you learn about their region. I mean, Texas is so big, and we have so many different cultures within Texas, and it was that to me is one of the most fascinating things. It's just visiting with all these completely unique school boards and where they're from.
Yeah, and the number I heard was like 1,200, right? There were like 1,200 folks at this conference.
Yeah, and I want to remind you that we are, there are about 1,200 school districts in the state. And in terms of size, we are about in the top 10% of size of districts. So there are a lot of very small school districts across the state of Texas. And so,
Very big problem.
Yeah, with very big problems, yes. A very diverse state. I attended couple of sessions that stood out. The first one that stood out to me was the cyberbullying session that was presented by a TASB staff member that I thought was very excellent, and he spoke a lot about David, who was the student who committed suicide after cyberbullying. And I wanted to point out that we have David's mother coming to speak to our administrators in August as we prepare for next school year. The speaker had been a former elementary school teacher, and he was really focused on meeting the needs of kids. And so I appreciated that he didn't just focus on the law, but he focused on the importance of taking care of kids. So that was an excellent session. And then the last one, the last general session was done, I thought really, it may not have been the best speaker I ever heard, but his ideas were fantastic. And I've forgotten his name, Roberto. Chris can find it. But he talked a lot about mindsets, which we've worked on in the district, and diversity, and really meeting the kids where they are.
To Rivera.
Roberto Rivera, who had been an at-risk student in Galveston ISD, who's now living in Chicago, but really talked about incorporating student voice and meeting those students' needs where they are. And so I appreciated Roberto's message a lot. It's good. Thank you.
I'll exclude me from this because I didn't stick around after the SB 1566 presentation. I had business conflict, couldn't stay for the rest of SLI this year. Normally I would. I really enjoy it because of the things like Janet and Sue and Chris and everyone had talked about. It's a great experience, but I do want to share with you that, and those of you that have been around, you know this, our board takes our role in the school district and the community very seriously, and part of that is our willingness to, as a group, attend SLI and attend these, all of these presentations where we do continue to learn, we continue to grow, we continue to get new ideas and different perspectives, and obviously a renewed appreciation for where we are. But it's important for you to know that we do take that seriously. We do take the time to continue to learn, and we learn a lot more from you all here on a regular basis, but it's great to get out and do those things. And that doesn't happen everywhere. When we attend these conferences, there aren't a whole lot of the school boards that have all 7 board members and superintendent in attendance, and we frequently are. Our picture was in the program this year from, I guess, last year, where we were all there. They take pictures of the boards that are all in attendance. So I'm proud of that, and I wanted you all to know that I think it's important for you to know that we do take our role seriously, and that's a big part of it. So thank you all for attending, for sticking around, for sacrificing those 3 or 4 days, but for continuing to want to learn and to continue to be educated. So next and final item on the agenda for tonight is issues and concerns for future agendas or administrative reports. So Jeff, back to you. Anything?
Nope, I'm all good.
Janet? Sue? Neil? Chris?
Good.
Everybody's good?
Yeah.
All right. And with that, at 7:20.
Future events, though.
Future events.
Future events.
Sue,
So,
sorry.
I'm sorry. So, in September, this convention, didn't know how if we were all, that was something. Okay, we're going.
Okay.
Guess what, guys, we're going.
Oh, anything else that we need
That's September
to?
28th.
September 28th.
Yes, sir.
Anything else coming up that we need to?
Next
Would it be
regular-
the summer?
Next meeting is July 16th, 5 o'clock workshop will be Bob Tippleton, and a regular meeting
Okay.
following.
All right. All right, anything else? Forget anything else? Okay. With that, at 7:27, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.